I'm doing some rust repair on a 2010 Tacoma with 177,000 miles on it, and I've had it a few years and noticed in the last year that there is some rust in the frame area that I wanted to get fixed before inspection, because I know they'll probably find it and send it back. So I wanted to walk through some of the work I'm doing and some tips and tricks, I guess, as I progress. So I've got the driver's side done. I'm working on the passenger side, and particularly what I found is in the front body mount, that's this right here, there is a lot of rust. I am currently cutting through it with the Sawzall, just so to give you an idea of how I approach this. Just trying to cut straight through it from the side. And you can see where this was already broken through. Same thing happened on the driver's side, and on the passenger side I've also got a little bit of issue here, which I'll be fixing. But as I cut away the driver's side, I also noticed there was some rust on the inside of the frame as well. So I've already cut that out. I'm going to work from the other side before I weld this side up. But that's what you're dealing with. The rest of the frame is pretty good. I knew that when I bought it. Not perfect, but it's probably typical for its mileage and age. And I'm in the Philadelphia area, so we use salt on our roads, and this is what happens. Let me show you the driver's side. This is the completed driver's side. What I used, I'll show you the raw mount, but this is what I used from Rust Busters. They sell this mount, just the metal part, and you weld it in. The patch I made on the frame, you can see here, goes to the other side. I did that first. Cut back to where there was no more rust. Welded that in best I could. Made it pretty even with the rest of the frame, because with this new mount, you want it to be, you know, similar to the frame as it was before. Now, this wasn't too bad. I wish there was more, when they make this mount, there was more material going that way, like another 1/8 of an inch would have helped. So you can get the mount pretty close to the frame when you're welding it. You don't want a big gap. So what I did was I had to widen the holes on the mount to move the body mount this way a bit, so that the mount could go towards the frame a bit. With the bolt that goes through the body up into the cab, you do have some play there, quite a bit actually. I think the bolt might move like a 1/2 inch front side to side, so you've got some room to play there. I'll link to another video that I watched that goes over the body mount replacement, because I am doing all the body mounts. I'm doing this one. There's one at the front of the frame supporting right there. It's not tightened down yet, but that's the front mount. This is the mount that I replaced. And then going towards, this is a double cab. Going towards the back, there is this mount, which is in good shape. The metal mount bracket is good. The body mount still loose, not tightened down yet. So I need to lift things up to move things around. But I replaced that one as well. And there's a very, very small mount at the back, which I haven't done yet, but these are the 3 main mounts on this car. So I'll show you the raw mount you get from Rustbusters. This is the mount as it comes from Rustbusters. 1/8" steel. They do give you these bolts, so you don't need to buy new bolts like I did from Toyota. I did buy all new hardware along with new mounts, OEM mounts. This is the old mount, and this is the old metal mount from the driver's side. Again, you know, as I was cutting through it, it just broke apart, so it was worse than I thought. There's still some metal there, you know, probably would have held for a bit, but it was time, especially considering the fact that the body mounts were all cracked. 177,000 miles. So I hope to see a little bit of ride improvement from the truck. It's a comfortable truck, but maybe I'll see a little bit of improvement going over bumps and whatnot with more insulation, more, you know, noise, vibration, harshness reduction from the cab to the frame. So I will show you next how I've gone about attacking this a little bit. So underneath, to get to the inside of the frame on both sides, you have less room on the driver's side and a little more room on the passenger side, but either way, you want to give yourself a bit more room so you can get a grinder in there, a cutting wheel to do the inside of the frame, if that's a problem for you. So what I did is pretty straightforward. I just dropped the exhaust system. There's the cat on both sides. Disconnect these 14mm bolts here, and then disconnect from the downpipe. Now, yeah, I did break those off. I'll need to drill those out and buy new ones. On the driver's side, I was able to preserve those studs. But you can, without dropping this transmission cross member, you can undo both sides and slide this back enough so you have room to work. There is this strange looking loop, metal loop that goes over the catalytic converter on the driver's side. You'll need to remove that. I think that was 13mm bolts or 12 to get that off, so you can lift it up and slide it back, and you get a bunch more room. I will say, do yourself a favor if you work on cars a lot and get yourself one of these. This is the Hot Rod brand induction heater, and you can heat up bolts, rusty bolts, and they will come out a lot easier. So I will sing the praises of that, and to help get rusty body mount bolts or exhaust studs, things like that, save yourself some time. So when you're cutting out the whole mount, I'd say before you do that, it's probably a good idea to get some sort of reference on where the body sits on the frame. Meaning, like, you know, you want to get it level side to side and front to back. You don't want the cab of the truck to sit crooked on the frame, meaning, you know, you put the new mounts in and the cab sits a little higher in the front or back or side to side, if that makes any sense. So once you cut all these out, you kind of lose that reference point. So what I did before I cut that out was I used this. It's just a like a part of a measuring toolkit that I got, and I wedged it in here until it stopped. And where, you know, this vertical part of the body, I kept this tool like pretty much parallel with the frame. Didn't jam it in too hard, just push it in gently, and where the vertical part of the body meets this tool, I just put a mark. That's the first Sharpie mark there. And then I measured 1/8 of an inch wider because I knew that these, before they're installed, will sit a certain height, and then once you install them and the body settles on them, you'll lose about 1/8 of an inch of height, I found. So once they're squished. So you want, when you're putting this all together, you want to be at the second mark, 1/8 of an inch wider, so that when you lower the body down on the frame, it'll squish 1/8 of an inch and you'll be at this point here. Hope that makes sense. But you're kind of accounting for the squish in the bushing. And if you do this on this side before you remove the old mount, and that way you know where it should be stock, and then do it as you put in the new mount, you should hopefully be at the same dimensions of the cab sitting on the frame, so you're not, you know, back and forth or side to side off. And, you know, maybe you wouldn't feel 1/8 of an inch, I don't know, but I like my stuff to be the same as it was before, and I take the time to do that, and I'd recommend doing that. You can see where that line hits on the body. So maybe I'll take another video as I'm doing the passenger side where I put it in at this point, and you'll see kind of what I'm talking about there. Lastly, for now, when you finish the new mount, it's bare metal. Spray it down with brake clean, wipe it down, and then get yourself a can of this. This is really good stuff. It's not cheap. It might be 20, 25 bucks a can, but it sprays on very thick. And some other YouTube restoration guys really recommended it. Lasts a long time. If you've ever used just spray paint from Home Depot, it, you know, it doesn't last forever. Maybe if you do a proper primer coat and do multiple coats, and you don't live in an area that's going to you know, wipe the paint away, salt, corrosion, whatever, you know. But it's what I'm using for this job here. So I'll check back in more with updates on the passenger side. Okay, so the passenger side mount is out, cut clean through with a recip saw or sawzall. Had to finish it up with the cutting wheel. So you can see the rust on the frame, really, not just the mount is rusty, but where it was welded to the frame gets pretty bad. That's poking through right there. So on the driver's side, I had to cut away this and then some back to here to really get back to good metal, because the rust, like cancer, just kind of grows around where all that moisture gets trapped. So you may, you know, you do this mount, you think you're just doing the mount, grind down the frame and weld it, you're good, but you may end up with a bit more of a job than you realized, especially on both sides of the frame. So like I said, it's a 2010, 177,000 miles. Is what you might be in for. So luckily, the bottom of the frame seems to be not too bad. I mean, you're going to have a lot of rust, loose rust collect inside. I'll show you that. But the bottom of the frame is thicker. There's a couple layers of steel there. I'm going to apply some seam sealer, maybe some navel jelly in there to inhibit the rust a bit before I weld everything up. So that's an idea. But the hardest part is really just getting all this. You can cut the mount up, but you've got another, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch of metal that you want to grind down or just completely cut away. Like you cut away this part and this part, but you don't want to cut away up here because this is good metal, so you need to grind a lot of this all here. That just takes a lot of time. So that's, and then just fitting up your patch piece to get it to fit perfectly without gaps in the metal, gaps between the pieces for your weld. I'll show you that. But it's just work on your back. So okay, I've got the passenger side patched up. There's my patch panel welded in. Pretty good fit on the first try. I had to take it back a little further with some of the rust. That hole there I'll get to later. I don't want to cut too many holes in the frame at one time. Anyway, so all the rear mount's been replaced and the front mount's been replaced. So now I feel like I can set on where the metal mount's going to go. So I've got the new rubber mount put in. I got the bolts a little loose, so I can. This has a little bit of movement in case I need to have a little bit of movement to get everything to line up. What I mentioned before with this gauge, I've got my marks. This is where I want it to be on that first mark. This is where I'm going to set it right now before the mount is in. So you'll see I've got my floor jack, so I can adjust the height where I want it, and that is right where I want it to be. So when I install the mount, weld it up, and drop the body onto it, the mount will squish about 1/8 of an inch, and then I should end up where that first mark is. See, there's about 1/8 of an inch play right now. That'll squish to where it should be, and that means it'll be even on both sides. That's how I'm going to do it. All right, so next step is to get the mount lined up and tacked in. So I've got the front mount welded in. I'm not done yet. There's some spots I want to get, but it's enough to support the weight of the car. Got my gauge, slide it in there, and just a tad farther than I want it, but that shouldn't affect the resting height too much. So got both sides. I even did the inside. That one's a little messy. I'm at the end of my cord and everything, so I'm like stretching everything. But I'm gonna wrap that up along the top here, right up here, as far as I can reach. And I'm gonna call it a day. So I've got all the work done, had the car inspected. The mechanic actually complimented my welding and fabricating skills, so that was nice. The reason why I had done all this work was because I had a feeling it wouldn't pass inspection because of the rust. So that was a deadline in mind, was to get it inspected. So this is just a final overview of the work I did. Had it for a couple weeks since I did the work, and everything's been fine. The truck actually does seem a little more comfortable with the new body mounts, the rubber mounts. That could just be me, but it does seem to ride a little bit more comfortable. So here's a little, that's the mount painted with the steelite.
There's the outside. Ignore the ambulance, that happens all the time around here. There's the patchwork I did on the inside of the frame. There's a little more rust extending that way than I thought. I had to do an additional patch because the welding wasn't solid to that part of the metal. Put a couple extra holes so I could spray in the fluid film, which I did. You can see a little bit of residue of the fluid film there. Did fluid film from the very front of the car all the way back to the box section of the frame. If I didn't mention it before, you'll need to drop the catalytic, especially on the driver's side. There's not a lot of room there to weld or get your hands in there, so you'll need to do that. It's not a big deal. I did have to fight with the nuts, the rusted nuts connecting the downpipe, the header to this section of the exhaust. And then on the passenger side, there's the work. You know, almost the same amount of repair required. I'm gonna wiggle myself all the way over here. There's the mount welded in. I did weld on the inside and on the outside, and then spray paint it with Steel-It. So that is the overview of the work. Oh yeah, and there was a section here too. That was an odd section of frame that was rusting pretty badly. Not sure what caused that, but that was a relatively easy fix because I had a lot more room on this side. And there are some spots here that, you know, I'm not too worried about that. I should just spray paint them, but I'll think about doing that. All right, any questions, go to the comments and I can answer. Thanks.